European leaders and Canada's Justin Trudeau are in Kiev to show their support in a virtual summit this morning, which included other leaders from around the world. President Zelensky suggested a prisoner of war exchange could be a way to build trust ahead of negotiations and any eventual ceasefire. There are thousands of Ukrainians detained in Russia. Some have been held since the invasion of Crimea in 2014. Meanwhile, the United States is circulating a draft proposal within the Security Council today that calls for an end to the fighting, though both Russia and Ukraine have warned that any hastily negotiated deal would end in a return to war. It's become something of a ritual. European leaders traveling overnight to Kiev on the anniversary of Russia's full-scale invasion. Off the train, they piled high, officials from Brussels, prime ministers, and presidents from across the continent. But this year, their show of support was more existential than ritual, with Ukraine on the back foot on the battlefield and at the negotiating table. For if Donald Trump pulls the plug on U.S. military aid, Ukraine's president will need all the help he can get from his visitors. For now, he was putting on a brave face. Dear friends, this year should be the year of the beginning of a real lasting peace. Putin will not give us peace or give it to us in exchange for something. We have to win peace through strength and wisdom and unity through our cooperation. The leaders around the table promised more money and more military support, but America was noticeable by its absence. Beaming in online, the Prime Minister insisted the U.S. had to provide a security backstop for any peace deal.
Trump has changed the global conversation over the last few weeks, and it has created an opportunity. Now we must get the fundamentals right. If we want peace to endure, Ukraine must have a seat at the table, and any settlement must be based on a sovereign Ukraine, backed up with strong security guarantees.
Later, President Macron of France will echo a similar message when he meets Mr. Trump in Washington. In Kiev, even some of Mr. Trump's most ardent backers doubted some of his recent claims.
Which we're hearing about Ukraine being responsible for the war. I mean, you might as well say that the swimmers were responsible for attacking the shark in Jaws, or the United States were responsible for attacking Japan at Pearl Harbor. It is a complete inversion of the truth. It's Orwellian.
In Brussels, EU foreign ministers stood in silence amid the now familiar sound of everyday Kiev, imposing yet more sanctions on Russia, alongside the UK and other allies. For its part, Russia maintained its pressure on President Zelensky. He changes his stance more often than his green t-shirts, Russia's foreign minister said. It's also hard to understand the stance of European countries. Meanwhile, the fighting in Ukraine enters its fourth year since Russia's full-scale invasion, with continuing drone attacks on the capital and a relentless war of attrition on the Eastern Front.